Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to talk to you today about some of the things that I know that we as a community in the Avalanche community are working on. So this is not just things that I'm involved in. It is from my vantage point. So it's things that I know about. There's much, much more. I would say that about maybe 5 or 6 months ago, I lost the ability to track everything that's happening. So there is unfortunately not going to be a comprehensive view of everything that's happening in Avalanche. It is no longer possible for me to list everything that's happening. It's just too big. But I do want to share with you some of the exciting things that I, as a techie, find compelling. And so I want to leak some alpha, and I want to give you a glimpse of things to come in the Avalanche community. So as you know, we have a very strong history of innovation. We bring hard science to this nascent area where it's badly called for. There are many large, open, outstanding scientific challenges ahead of us. That's the reason why many other projects have stalled. That's the reason why they were not able to make forward progress as fast as they would have liked. And we are one of the few teams that have the expertise to bring in scientific solutions to long-standing, open, hard problems. We did this with consensus protocols, with bridges, with DEXs, with swaps, etc. And we're doing it as a community across the board all throughout the software stack. So what I'm going to do today is just go very, very quickly. I only have 20 minutes and give you a glimpse of the various different things that we're working on. It's a subsampled set. This is not the comprehensive roadmap. It's just what it is, just some of the things that I wanted to pull out and illustrate for you. There is a lot happening, and I want to start at the platform level. One of the main things that's happening at the platform level is that we're continually working on scaling and making cheaper and faster the basic platform. This is critical for all of us. The scaling challenge is not a one-size-fits-all kind of, there is no such thing as a silver bullet. It's an ongoing thing. As you make things cheaper, more load comes onto the chains. The demand for blockchain space is intense. There's 700 trillion worth of assets, I keep saying this. And there's going to be more as we create the ability for people to create more virtual assets. All of that value, as it goes on to chains, it's going to crowd out other uses. And that you need to have the right kind of infrastructure to absorb this. Luckily with subnets we do, and I want to get into that in a second. But there's also the need for continually improving the basic protocols for executing transactions on a chain. We've been doing this with Snowman++. So for those of you who are new or who haven't had a chance to follow what's going on there, Snowman++ has already been deployed. And I would say maybe, I forgot how many months ago, but a few months ago, we completed with the Apricot release the deployment of Snowman++, which gave us the notion of a soft leader that greatly reduced contention in the network. Those of you who run, how many people here run validators? Okay, well, so those of you who run validators will know that your I/O needs drop drastically, your space consumption dropped drastically with this release, and that was a fantastic thing to do. So that's one of the things that we did already, and in the same vein, there is another release coming out called Avalanche V2. It's going to bring with it fast synchronization. So as chains grow, we have the problem that syncing up a node or bringing a node up for the first time can take some time. We want that to be incredibly fast. And there are very simple techniques for actually addressing this issue. It's not a hard problem. It's engineering-wise maybe difficult, but it's not a conceptually difficult problem. So we're going to be introducing fast sync and secure checkpointing to the chain. And with that, it's going to be very, very fast to bring up a node, to catch up to the latest state of the network, and to go forward from there. Imagine a game that has been working on a subnet for some time. You want that game, you want the players in that game to bring up a node and participate with no friction whatsoever. It should be instantaneous, and that's what we're working towards. So I'm really excited about Avalanche V2. We will also be introducing changes that reduce and that essentially turn. Oh, you guys might not be able to see this. Well, we have a bit of an issue with. I use the entire space here. So maybe we could just pull these up. Okay. So thank you. So we're going to be, so one of the things I noticed, or we learned after we deployed our system, is that we have this amazing DAG that we can build on the X chain with the Avalanche virtual machine. A DAG is a directed acyclic graph. It allows many concurrent activities to take place in the network. And it's one of the many tricks that we use to get extra performance. It turns out that a lot of exchanges are not really geared for concurrent activities. They started out life by supporting Bitcoin, which builds a single linear chain. And so we discovered that it's actually not easy to integrate with exchanges if you have a DAG. So we're going to be, for those people who want to create subnets based on value creation, etc., we're going to be giving them the option to create a linear chain using the Avalanche virtual machine. So for those of you who want to create assets, do asset transfers, etc., in your subnet, and you want to integrate with exchanges easily, this is going to be one of the primary mechanisms. And at the same time, we might want to simplify the distinction between the X and the P chains, and also simplify their operation. So there's going to be a unification under the covers at the platform level. That too, at the same time, should also come with some simplifications at the UI level. I know a lot of you took the trouble to figure out what's happening behind the covers, and the wallet actually displays all that to you. I'm hoping that the UI will be simplified so that you guys don't really have to understand the X difference, the P difference, the C chain difference, etc. That should all be seamless and easier to use. We're working on a new EVM. We've been working on a new EVM for some time. It's a much faster EVM. It's essentially got a lot of optimizations behind the scenes. And one of the main things it's doing is it's doing state management differently than what you see in Geth. And it also has some mechanisms that we're currently adding into it for control of state growth. So this is something that a lot of people bring up, which is, oh, you're super fast now, but in the future, there is going to be the specter of state growth that's going to get you. And I've often said to this in response on Twitter, trust us, there is a solution. Well, now we're sharing with you for the first time that indeed we've been working on a solution for controlling state growth. So that specter, that like ghost that's going to come and kill us, it's not really there. There are engineering challenges here. For sure. It's not easy, for sure, but it is something that we've been working on. We also have been building a new database designed for cryptocurrencies. You may or may not be aware of this, but every single cryptocurrency behind the scenes has a database underneath. And almost everybody uses either the same database or the same, or one of the variants of the same idea, LevelDB from Google. And we've been developing our own that is not only super fast, but it's actually designed for the use cases, the lookup patterns that you see in cryptocurrencies. LevelDB and other databases that you've all heard of are designed for a very different set of benchmarks and a very different set of load patterns. But once you actually look at cryptocurrencies that have different lookups, you notice as a technical person that suddenly this thing should be built entirely differently because the lookup patterns are very, very different. So we've been doing exactly that. I cannot wait to unveil this when the time is right, and there is a lot of technical work going on in this space. I now want to tell you all about subnets. Subnets are big. This is one of the main ways we parallelize and separate from each other different applications that need to be either performance isolated or fee isolated or need special features for these. The main incentive program that allows people to use subnets is called Multiverse. And the Multiverse program is in place, and it's starting out with DeFi applications that are very demanding, as well as GameFi applications. So every big contract on the C chain that's currently consuming a lot of gas should think about going to its own subnet. And you're going to see, for example, Dexalot, which is a fantastic application. It's a central limit order book. It happens to consume a lot of gas. That's a prime example of something that would be best deployed in its own subnet. And this will open, for all of you who are interested, the opportunity to serve as validators for this new ecosystem of this multiverse of validators. So there's a lot of interesting incentives that will come into play as people start migrating from the C chain, from a single monolithic chain to this multiverse universe where there's a whole lot of chains in parallel. We've been working on, or we've been thinking about a low MEV subnet. You've heard of MEV. This is essentially, those of you who've ever traded on Uniswap, on Ethereum, know that you are constantly sniped, that somebody comes between you and the thing you want to buy. And we've been thinking about mechanisms, some based on commit reveal schemes, that lower the MEV extractable by other parties on chain. This is forever going to be a cat and mouse game. But we can get way ahead of the mice in this game by introducing some technologies, basically some basic crypto and some trade-offs of latency for security, or of latency for user experience. So one of the things we're thinking about is a subnet that essentially does not have the same super fast latency as the main C chain. It might be maybe a few times, like instead of a sub-second latency, it achieves 5-second latency. But nevertheless, it's able to greatly reduce MEV extraction for the people who are for doing that. Now, one of the things that I lament often is that this MEV area is very, very nascent, and we lack the terminology and we lack the metrics necessary to discuss it in a properly scientific manner. I cannot wait for that research to develop so that we can, in some calm, objective manner, compare different system designs and evaluate them for their impact on MEV. Another thing that I know that some people have been working on is privacy for smart contract execution. So a subnet with a virtual machine based on homomorphic encryption would be one of the methods by which you can assure blinded computations where the data is not revealed, but nevertheless smart contracts operate according to a prescribed recipe. Another thing, of course, is ZK snarks, and we're working with the world experts on this to bring some private computation, to bring private execution onto a subnet near you. And we've been working for some time now on novel virtual machines. So one of the things that I actually worked on about a year ago was quantum safe computing and quantum safe signatures. So we actually have this already mostly written, not essentially written, not perhaps as a subnet, but essentially feature complete effort that uses lattice-based cryptography to give us quantum security. Quantum security is something that I get a lot of questions about, but it's not something that keeps me up at night at all. So I don't want you guys to freak out about it, because I think it's still many, many, many years away. We have a lot of time to deploy any solution in this space. But to serve as an example for people who are interested, we are going to be opening up some of the code here to show you, hey, if you wanted to do something different, this is how you would do it. And you can use different cryptography other than the default ones on the default network. We also worked on, at some time ago, on a WASM VM. So we have the WASM VM ready, and it's essentially something that we have not exposed to the public because we did not see a need for it. But expect that that's something that we will work on if indeed a WASM-based smart contract ecosystem does develop. But for now, our focus is mostly on the EVM side. Okay, well, I would say about I don't know how long ago, maybe 7 or 8 months ago, I said that there's going to be a year of the Battle of the Bridges. And that year of the Battle of the Bridges is upon us. Luckily, we're winning this war. The Avalanche bridge is by far the biggest bridge from Ethereum. And it has, I think, the #1 in terms of TVL, total value locked. It has had about $43 billion flow in about 243,000 transactions between Ethereum and Avalanche. So it achieves this by using a technology that nobody else brought to the space of blockchains. That technology is called Intel's SGX. It is the thing that allows us to execute this bridge in a manner where nobody, not even insiders, could abuse the bridge and end up acquiring custody of the funds. So this non-custodial bridge is essentially a very interesting way to approach this trusted computing or trustworthy computing problem. So, so we have the best, what I would consider the best-in-class bridge. How many people here have used the bridge? Some of you are Avalanche natives. Those of you who have not, probably Avalanche natives. We love you all. And so, yeah, so if you don't have a need to use it, that's even better. But those of you who have used it have noticed just how fast it is and how pleasant it is to use. So expect that same idea, that same technology to be applied to different areas. And in addition to the features already on the bridge, we just announced support for Bitcoin. This, I think, is big. So that's, thank you. That's about $1 trillion worth of assets that are not able to partake in DeFi that can suddenly flow through our bridge and come onto the Avalanche ecosystem, where they execute with instant finality and they participate in the rich set of smart contracts that we have on board. So I'm really, really thrilled about this. That's actually exactly from the bridge itself. We're also working on protocol level bridging. So in case you wanted bridging options, or in case you wanted to bridge between subnets that are sort of in the long tail, then you need to be able to count on some universal bridging technology that maybe is not as pleasant to use as the bridge that we have based on SGX. It might actually cost more. It might actually have longer latencies. But nevertheless, it's a secure bridge that you can count on to be there, and that's something that we are working on as well. So in this new subnet universe, you should not have to worry about how to transfer assets. It's just going to be there for you. So I think yesterday we talked about a new wallet. It's time for a new wallet, is it not? Okay. So we have we've been working on a new wallet that has 3 different forms. One of them is the browser extension that just is inside the browser and gives you the seamless way to connect to dApps. Another instance of it is as a mobile app. It's the same code, actually, but it ends up working in different ways. And also, there's a desktop wallet to replace the current wallet that Avax.network. So all 3 of these are essentially going to be giving you a seamless experience where you can just easily interact with dApps on-chain. The wallet has amazing features, and I cannot thank the wallet team enough. They've been working really, really hard, as have we all. But it is ledger-enabled, so you should all be using hardware wallets, by the way. They're very, very important. We've been supporting them since a long time ago. We will continue to support them, and these ledgers are pretty key to protecting yourself from malware. It has portfolio and collectibles, so it supports NFTs. And it has integration with dApps and the bridge. So using the bridge should be seamless. Value should flow to where it's operated on the best. And it should be one seamless, fast transaction. Swapping between hundreds of tokens directly from the wallet is supported. And you should also be able to buy Avax directly from the wallet. The integration with the actual money flows, etc., should be part of the experience. So this is coming up. There are some amazing screenshots that the team gave me. I think some of you might have seen this. I think it looks beautiful, and we're going with the owl for now, so we'll see how it works. And so here it is. It's going to be a fun experience. I cannot wait for the wallet to be out. I'm hoping that you will all help me when we unveil it, test it out, etc., and provide feedback. So, okay, moving forward. We want to expand, of course, and expand the support for ecosystem projects to support mass adoption. You know all about the Avalanche Rush program. It continues to operate. We committed an enormous amount of funds, and so we have a lot of resources going into supporting the C-chain for DeFi projects. You know that we have a lot of protocols supported on there. All of the blue chips are there. And you may or may not know, but I have spoken here at this summit to a lot of projects that are doing very innovative things on the lending side, on the stable swap side, and I'm very proud of the development happening here. It's always fascinating to see the young, energetic projects on top of Avalanche. It's always great to see the cutting edge taking place on Avalanche. It's not happening on other chains. It's great to see new DEXs. There's so much more we can do, and if I have time, I would go on a long rant. But those of you who've been in crypto know that we've had the following dynamic. For the last umpteen years that I've been in crypto, some people go before the regulators and they say, hey, you know, we would like to have an ETF, a Bitcoin ETF. How many times have we had a Bitcoin ETF proposal proposed and then rejected by regulators? Kept happening over and over again. And the regulators kept saying the same stupid thing, which it's not actually stupid, let me take that back. But the same thing that's really annoying, which is your marketplaces are not quite trustworthy. We would open this up, we would allow this ETF, but it's really, they're so manipulable and manipulated so often that we don't feel comfortable opening the public to an ETF. They aren't wrong, but the thing is we have the technology to build marketplaces that are more secure than TradFi. We have the technology to go back to these regulators and say, look, we can do better than Wall Street. The bar isn't where Wall Street is at. You keep rejecting us because you think we don't meet the bar. We will carry the bar further up. We can build DEXs with no front running, with no stop loss hunting, with actual privacy controls. This is all possible by virtue of these cryptographic assets. We can build it into the fabric of a DEX so deep that these guarantees are there for all time. So I'm really thrilled about this. There are new options platforms coming online on Avalanche. Some of you might have heard some of the talks here about this. There are many other dApps that I don't have time for. NFTs. On this front, this is kind of interesting. We ended up prioritizing at the Avalanche Foundation the growth of the DeFi ecosystem. We did essentially nothing to support NFTs for a long time. We're a latecomer to the NFT game. And for the longest time, I was kind of resigned to letting Solana take the lead on NFTs. But the fact that we are fast, pleasant to use, has actually been a huge boon to us. And the fact that we are a proof-of-stake system has been a great enabler. Artists care about the environment. They don't want to build systems that do terrible things to climate. And we've had a number of people come to us for exactly this reason. And we now have a burgeoning NFT space with traffic, with total volume now exceeding Solana's. Solana has done a lot of focusing on this. Our marketplaces are still maturing. Those of you who interacted with the various different Avalanche native marketplaces here at the summit, or those of you who got a chance to see their demos of their upcoming releases, you will be amazed. There's some amazing demos that I have seen, so expect the marketplace experience to improve tremendously. So, and expect big commitments from the Avalanche Foundation to help foster growth in the NFT space. We want to attract more creators, more artists to help us build a better NFT system. There's a lot of work on the stablecoin front. There is, of course, you guys are familiar with USDT and USDC. They are now native, and we are starting the process of creating incentives for people to go from bridged assets to native assets. I encourage all of you to do the same. I think it's always best to reduce what we call the trusted computing base, the amount of code you trust behind a valuable asset. So the native versions of these assets are always preferable, and there are going to be slight incentives for doing a conversion, and I encourage you to do that. Algorithmic stablecoins are a fascinating field, and given the regulatory developments in the space, it's high time for us to look carefully at algorithmic stablecoins. Let me also mention outright that it's not easy to build these things. There are some scientific challenges that must be overcome, but expect some big moves to bring high-value algorithmic stablecoins to the Avalanche space. We've been working, unlike many other projects, we do not view ourselves as a tech-only platform. We, and I know I and friends, etc., and other people in the space have been working constantly to build new asset classes. One of these are ILOs, initial litigation offerings. The very first one took place with not that much fanfare, perhaps, and perhaps during a down market, but it did happen successfully with Opothio. It's a case of crop destruction in the United States, where the litigant needed to raise money to go and sue the state for essentially for lack of due process. It was structured around existing litigation financing. Expect further ILOs, expect that space to grow tremendously. I do know that for a lot of crypto degens, the structure of the very first ILO was not all that financially attractive, and expect that to change. Expect the incentives to be more in line with the crypto-savvy audience in the future. There are also initial film offerings coming up. I'm excited about these. So there's going to be essentially standard templates that people can use, legal as well as code, to get financing for their films and artwork on-chain. GameFi is really, really big, and so this is an exciting space. Expect significant entertainment and culture growth on top of the chain. Subnets here are a critical differentiator. Games are coming online because they can have their own dedicated blockchain, because they can have their own dedicated subnet. Finally, or close to finally, we're looking at close layer 1 to layer 1 collaborations. There are layer 1s out there that provide interesting features. Expect the Avalanche community to do whatever it takes to bring other communities together and to provide some of the unique features, the technical features we offer to other communities. That way we will create sort of gestalt value, that is where the sum of the value in both systems is greater than the value in the parts. So in fact, one of the interesting cases that you can expect is the fact that Avalanche's benefits could even be carried over to proof of work chains. That is, we use Avalanche for settling the transactions, but we use proof of work to support the chains that actually believe very heavily in proof of work, or they have a strong mining infrastructure that they want to support. So there's going to be interesting developments on that front in the year ahead. And one of the other interesting things that I've been spending a bunch of time on, one of the things that differentiates at least the big efforts around here from others, is the fact that, that many of us have always targeted value creation on chain from the get-go. One of the things we're doing is a walled garden for Wall Street. What's a walled garden for Wall Street? It's a regulatory compliant network for allowing people to engage in DeFi, knowing who their counterparts are in every trade. This is a critical enabler. There's lots and lots of institutional money, but it cannot partake in DeFi because of regulatory constraints. They have strong KYC AML requirements. And it's possible to support them in a proper setting while maintaining the true spirit of DeFi. So you want to make sure that unwanteds are not there. You don't want to be trading with a terrorist and enabling them to do their thing. But at the same time, you do want to be trading with other people like here in a proper fashion with DeFi support. So I think I went over a little bit, but there was so much happening that I needed to summarize for you. That's so much happening, so much that was on my mind. Overall, Avalanche is in hypergrowth. You just open up any metric that you like, you will see a hockey stick. And I'm thrilled about that. Or you look at the energy in this room or in any of the other tents, I think are going to be essentially blown away by the energy there and by the vibe there. Avalanche Foundation has already committed to spending more than $1 billion. It's going to commit to spending even more over the years ahead to build an amazing community and an amazing ecosystem of applications. There's Rush, there's Multiverse, there will be more. And finally, we came to where we are. We reached where we are as a community by focusing on science, on technology, and superior execution. Thank you so much for allowing us to come here. I'm looking forward to your help. Thank you.